Hey guys, welcome Muskie Road Rules Podcast and Patreon. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I know you're probably saying, Greg, what happened last week? You didn't put anything up, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm an idiot, and also I had to have a new lower unit put on my boat, which is always the best thing to do when you're trying to make a living as a fishing guide. You need those bottom parts. Not sure. I bumped a rock. Didn't think I did that much damage. Prop, everything. It ran fine, and then it didn't run fine. So after some begging and some calling and, of course, writing checks, I got back up and going. Got to thank Points North up here in the Northwest Angle, Kale and his mom. They really helped me get things up and running again. So I got a new lower unit on and was able to go. It was only down about 3 days. So it wasn't a horrible situation, but it did suck. Sorry, Bob. I know you're listening. Bob was fishing with me, Bob and Drew. We did learn from Lily Island in the Northwest Angle to where I keep my boat. It's a 2.5-hour boat ride at 5 miles an hour. So that was a lot of fun. We got to talk. We got to point at birds. Played a little I see what you don't see game. Most of the time they would just point at me and go, a moron. And I would go, yes, because that was basically what it was. But anyway, up and running again. We got everything going. And guys, thank you for becoming a member of the Patreon. And I have got a couple guys on here who I think have probably had two of the best weeks I've heard of at Lake of the Woods this year. It's not been an easy year. A lot of guys coming up here complaining, a lot of guys not finding fish or having a tough time getting fish in the boat. And I want to bring these guys on. I got Jeremy and Trevor Barber, who's going to join me on here. Guys, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
All right. Now, if you guys are watching on the Patreon, that is Trevor, not Eminem. I think he dyed his hair. It's dyed bleach blonde, and I'm a fan. I am for it. Shaving the head and going blonde. Trevor, blondes always have more fun. So you'll be good with that. So, Jeremy, how long have you fished Lake of the Woods, and what's your story up there?
So I would say about 8 years ago, some local guys around here were telling us about this area, Lake of the Woods.
And when you say, not to interrupt, but when you say here, you're from Eagle River area, correct?
Yeah. We're back in beautiful, scenic, historic Eagle River right now. A couple guys, there was our Headwaters local Muskies Inc. chapter always did an outing every year around Labor Day weekend. Stay out of Red Wing Lodge in Sabaskong Bay. And about 8 years ago, they kind of talked us into, why don't you guys come up and check it out? And we did. And we went up there, and I think the first year I was there, I think I caught like 8, maybe 7 or 8. I think the guy in the back of my boat was my brother-in-law at the time. I think he got 6, and we're like, this is crazy. I got a 50, caught some 45s. I mean, these fish were aggressive. They were mean. I've never been anywhere.
Acted like muskies.
Yeah. It was, and we're like, man, these fish are dumb. Like, you could throw anything and they eat, and this is great. And this is, so every year we were doing it. Over the years, we got a couple other guys, through their work schedule and things like this. We started making other trips. We started going in July, started doing trips in August, learned real quick that muskies are muskies.
Yep.
You're a real hero when they're eating, and then you're a real zero when they're not, and you think you know everything about them, and then all of a sudden you don't. But we eventually, as Trevor got older, I think I took him up there the first year when he was 10, and he ended up sticking a 50 and a half, I believe, the first year.
Of course he did.
Of course, yeah. Actually, that day there was another kid with us who was also 10, and he caught a 50 that day. They were just going nuts. And Did real well, and we kind of wanted to spend more time up there, and it eventually involved in us buying a place up there and doing as much as we can possibly do to make as much money as we possibly can in Eagle River, so we can throw it all into Canada and get there as often as we can. And basically evolved into almost exclusively muskie fishing on Lake of the Woods and trying to learn the lake and learning different things. And I'll tell you, it's there's a lot of fish in there, but it can humble you real quick. You know?
Oh yeah, well, I think this summer has humbled a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys have had good trips, but there's a lot of people around here and a lot of guys I know, and you probably know as well, that have been up, and they've had like some of the worst trips they've had so far in going up there. I know several guys that this has been their worst summer, that they've just had a hard time finding fish. And I mean, we've been doing okay, but it's not been great. I mean, it's doing a lot of running, a lot of looking, a lot of different stuff. And I can always tell when it's tough when I start getting, well, it's been weird. And usually weird is a good word for, well, it sucks and I'm not doing worth a shit. And that's kind of what we're hearing and stuff. But you know, talking to you guys, I know you guys have done well. I'm not looking for secrets, not looking for anything like that. Just wanting to kind of talk and get your perspective on the lake. One, it's a little bigger than the Eagle River chain.
It's a touch, yeah.
It's a touch bigger. The fish are a touch bigger. And it's one of those areas where, you know, shield lakes, for guys that haven't fished a lot of shield lakes or guys that are, you know, like me, I didn't grow up fishing this kind of stuff. This is stuff that I've been learning for years and trying to figure out more. There's so many options in a shield lake versus some of the other lakes that I've kind of worked and fished. And I think that's one thing that makes it difficult is the amount of options that you do have out there. You know, it really makes you second guess a lot of stuff. Is that something you've found?
I kind of equate it to like the first time that I came down by you down there in the cave, you know, and
what was the water level?
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the first question everybody asks, you know, and you put the boat in and you're driving around and you're all pumped up and you got your baits and you talk to everybody that's ever been there and you go out there and then all of a sudden you're like, what in the fuck is this? You know, and it's and that's kind of how I felt on Lake of the Woods. I mean, I remember the first time we went out there, we're all looking at a map, you know, and I was like, well, this area looks pretty good. And then I put my boat in there and I'm driving to that area. And after 25 minutes, I'm like, okay, cool. We're halfway there.
Yep.
You know, and I drove past some of the best looking musky stuff that I've ever seen in my life. And it's I'll tell you, Trevor and I burn a lot of gas.
Yeah.
Almost an embarrassing amount of gas.
I think a lot of people do up here.
My truck, if I fill it full of 5-gallon containers, I can get about 150 gallons in it. My boat holds 53. And I'm not too embarrassed to tell you that on Tuesday, we sent a guy back into the U.S. and I gave him like 20 gas cans and said, can you please fill these up for us? I mean, we all know gas in Canada is $7 a gallon, you know, so your trips get real expensive when you start, paying $7 a gallon, but we cover a really large area. And, we decided when we decided that we were going to go up there and spend a lot of time learning the lake, and I know this isn't an option for a lot of guys, they get 1 week a year. You got your, Saturday to Saturday, you got your 6 days, you want to get on them right away. You want to put as much quality time as you're in. We are very fortunate to have the benefit that we're up there a lot. So we make it a point that every time we're up there that we take a whole day and we go and explore and try to find new areas and new stuff. And what we've learned, the number one rule we've learned up there is wind is king. I mean, I don't care about moon phase and water temperature as much and anything else. It's all wind.
Yep.
And, we're running around in a 521 bass boat, which a lot of guys will say, oh, you're crazy. I can't believe you take a bass boat out there. And everybody's running around in 621s. Well, whatever. It is what it is. But having a bigger boat, I mean, there's still areas that, depending on the wind, that's the first question I ask every day to Trevor, because he's always on his weather app and stuff like that. I'm like, which way is the wind coming from tomorrow? And how strong is it going to be?
Yeah. And always look at the gust. Never
Yes.
look at sustained. Always look at the gust, because I've been doing this a long time, and everybody gets in the boat and they say, well, it only said 5 to 10 today. Yeah. But the gusts were up to 25.
And we've also learned add 10 to whatever they say it's going to be.
Yep.
Because, a 15 mile an hour or 20 mile an hour west wind on the Eagle River chain is okay. By us, that means I can't get into my cabin because I'm fighting 5 and 6 footers to try to pull into the bay.
Yeah. And you're in Morrison, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys are right there in Morrison. And so it's right off of, Little Big Travers right there. So you got big water. I got a fly on my hat. Get out of here. I showered. You've got some pretty major water right there. You're not protected.
No, if you get a straight west wind, it's murder. Yeah. I mean, it really is. And I've been talking to, you and Nathan and stuff like that. Oh, why don't you come over and have a beer? And I'm like, yeah, I'll jump in a boat and I'll run over there 40 miles quick and have a beer with you.
That's good.
And it takes, 45 minutes if I'm cranking at, 45 miles an hour. And I get a 5 mile an hour wind, and that turns into a 2.5 hour nightmare boat ride.
Oh, no, it's awful. I drove from here to Nestor Falls. That is
my God.
That's 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it is and I'm in a tiller. So I'm Popeye by the time I get to where I'm going. So, I mean, it's a big lake. It's got a lot, and that water moves a lot. And depending on where you're at, how it goes around those islands, if it opens up, you're just like, oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, it definitely is that. And going and looking at those new areas, I agree. Even when I'm guiding up here, I tell guys, I go, all right, it's time to go to some new spots. We're going to, it looks kind of, this right here kind of looks like, this area looks like something we've caught a fish in. Let's go over there and look at it and just, take an hour, 2 hours and just play over here and see what we can find out. And I think if you don't do that, you're never going to get anywhere up here. You got to keep looking at new stuff and trying to figure it out. The other thing that we're dealing with right now, especially over here in the angle and on this side of the lake is, and I'm sure you guys are too, is the algae. Did you guys have much algae over by you?
I got to tell you, in 8 years, I would say this has been the best year for algae.
Yeah, I'll agree. It's not terrible.
We run into that. Well, you run into that blue-green stuff. Mm-hmm. And you pull into a bay and you can smell that you're not going to catch fish.
Yep.
And I've talked to a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys that fish in our area, and they'll say, "Oh, they're still fishing that stuff. They're still fishing that stuff." I feel like I'm going to get freaking blasto fishing it. It's just, I don't enjoy it. And the wonderful part about fishing on a lake that's 940,000 acres is that I don't have to fish it.
Nope.
But I have been there in August and September where we're driving 25 miles to try to get out of it, and you just can't.
Yeah.
It's the water gets hot, it gets stagnant, and a lot of guys talk about water temperature. When we were there in July, we had a couple of days where there was no wind and it got real hot. And you'll watch an area go from 71, 72 to 81 or 82 in hours.
Yeah.
And something kind of funny happened to us this week on Wednesday when the wind wasn't blowing 90 miles an hour and it was only blowing a solid 20.
Yep.
We pulled into an area and I said, "Oh my God, Trevor runs our boat." Mm-hmm. Right? we came to this conclusion when he was 10. I was in the front. I felt like I was picking fish off of him. And I finally just said to him, he wasn't comfortable running the boat. And I said, if you want the front, you're going to have to learn to run the boat.
Yep.
End of story. And I will tell you, he's put me on a lot of fish, and it's really nice in the back of the boat. I don't got to do shit but cast. It's great.
Exactly.
But I looked down on our Solix, and I said, wow, it's 77 degrees here. And he's like, I got 72 on the front. And that's because that transducer is 2 feet lower than the one in the back. And that's how fast that sun with that color of the water will turn a bay. I've been there in July. I've seen 85 in bays. There ain't going to be fish here. They have so many options. And like I said, we've caught hundreds of fish, and we caught a fish this year, and Trevor said, what was that, 42 and a half?
43 and a half, and it was 42 and 3/4 last year.
Oh, so same one?
Probably 3/4 of a mile away, but it had a very distinct mark on it. And he goes, I caught this fish last year, and we actually, friends of ours, caught a 49 and a quarter and a mile and a half down, same kind of channel. They caught it a year later, and it was like 49 and 3/4 or something like that. Those fish move a lot.
They do. They got a lot of places to go. There's the one thing I noticed this year, and you can tell me if you've seen the same thing or not. A lot of bait this year, especially out off the structure and stuff. It just seems like I'm seeing a ton of bait.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What is the bait? Have you seen it?
No.
So we've seen it, and I'm not the smartest man in the world, so I'm going to tell you, northern Wisconsin fishing, I'm like, oh, are those perch? Are they crappies? What are they? We saw them. They're like shiners.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm seeing like schools of just minnows.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing. Some up on the structure, some off the structure. And of course you'll see schools of walleye and stuff down there, and I'm sure there's perch and all that. But yeah, there's a lot of those shiners out there. I haven't really seen a ton of Cisco's, but I haven't been in super, super deep water to see. I don't think any of them are coming up that much right now.
We don't really have that by us.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of deep holes that are 50, 60 feet deep, but I would say the mean average is probably 20 to 25.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, we have a general rule in our boat, muskies are the apex predator, even though you see bears swimming around and leeches and tigers and vultures and everything else. But these muskies, they only have to do 3 things. They have to not get eaten, they have to eat, and they have to spawn.
Yeah.
So we've been we were up there opening weekend. We got a couple of decent fish. I think I got a 47 and a quarter. Trevor got a really nice 46. They were still on the same spots. We had never really been there opening weekend of muskie season, and we didn't really know what to do. We didn't know, are these fish traveling 20 miles into current? Are they, what are they doing? And we kind of found them on traditional spots. With that being said, I know that spot that we caught, that 47 and a quarter, the way the current and the wind is right now, it's one of our money spots. I mean, there's always fish there. There was not fish on it last week. None. Zero. There was no fish there. There was no bait. They had vacated the area. And I know through our texts and things, and I was talking to you during the week, I was like, bait, we're trying to find the bait, right? And the bait is related to current. It's related to water color, water temperature, things like that. And we were really struggling to stay on the bait.
Okay.
I mean, we'd go into an area and it was like, oh my God, look at all this bait. Holy crap. And then we'd come back 2 hours later and it's like they were gone. And I think that's where, I think that's where some people, what I've found, and again, to go back to the people that come up here and stay for a week, and I'm not harping on you, I get it. You have limited time. And guys are going to come up and are like, hey, last year there was fish here. You know, year before there was fish here. This is one of my money spots.
Yeah.
We're not spot guys.
Yeah.
We got a lot of guys that stay with us in the cabin. They got all these weird names for spots, you know, and these guys are fishing spots. And we were talking about it like Wednesday or Thursday. And I was like, you know, I talked to one guy in the cabin and, you know, hey, where are you going tonight? You know, so we're not fishing the same stuff. And he's, well, I'm going to go to this spot, and this spot, and this spot, and this spot. And I'm like, you named 5 different spots, and all 5 spots are incredibly different than this, you know, and the wind's hitting them different and the current's hitting them different. And yeah, you're going to run into fish because it's Lake of the Woods. There's 100 billion muskies in there, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're really trying to catch a lot, you have to be very observant and be like, okay, Trevor and I ask each other a lot of times, not why is there a fish here? Mm-hmm. Why isn't there fish here? I mean, that sounds stupid, and it sounds like some stupid philosophical thing that I'm trying to do, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not that smart, but that's how we know down. But that's how we're breaking stuff down. Like, there wasn't a fish here. There should have been. Why isn't there a fish here?
Sure.
You know? And trying to use that. And like you said, you know, like we're just trying to replicate where we were finding active fish that will eat.
Yeah. That's the big thing, is finding the ones that are going to eat, because the amount of lazy follows you can have out here is mind numbing. Which is
one of the things we do, and we bought it just because we were tired of, we have a fish clicker, like one of those stupid Rapala fish clickers. And we keep it in the cup holder. And every time we see a fish, we click it because we're curious. Everything's, I'm a numbers guy. Everything's about numbers for me, right? And I'm going to tell you, in July, when we were there, we were consistently seeing 25 to 30 fish every time we went out. Mm-hmm. But we were hooking like 4 or 5, and they were eating it weird. They were just nipping it. They were just hitting it in the corner. They weren't really committing to it. You know? So you come back in like some big hero, like, I saw 35 fish. Well, great. How many did you catch?
Yep.
Well, so we were leaving areas that had fish on them because I was like, these fish aren't eating. Mm-hmm. Like they're, and I honestly think that there's so many muskies in there that those fish are very territorial. And I think they're chasing baits just to chase them.
Oh yeah. I firmly agree. You get those just spot follows where they're just moving stuff out of their zone.
Yeah.
You know, get out of here.
That's been topwater for us this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I had one good week with topwater, that they were really eating it. But other than that, it's been here and there. Yeah.
Trevor's got a custom built fat bastard that he built that is like money topwater. Mm-hmm. And I'll let you tell. You tell. He got so mad that he lost a fish, he modified it.
Oh yeah, what'd you do?
So I have a fat bastard that kept losing fish on. Same week, Labor Day, when we always go up with our buddies, and I decided to take hooks off of a pounder or something. So it was like 8/0 wide gap hooks, and it runs perfect now. But like you have to rip it out of the water because it like sinks almost.
It's like a low rider. So those hooks are so heavy they pull that bait down, so it actually sinks. It's wild.
I like to get depth out of my top waters.
Yeah. And I was throwing it Saturday night because we had a hole. There's another thing. I know I'm kind of jumping around all over the place, but this year when we find an active fish, I can't tell you how many times we've caught fish on back-to-back casts.
Yeah,
they are in packs. Mm-hmm. It's you'll fish a whole area, you know, a quarter-mile stretch that looks really, really good, and you'll see one, and then there's another one, and another one, and another one, and there's 5 of them in a group, and you'll catch 2 of them and see 3 more, and then you won't see anything else.
Yeah,
it's I've never seen it like that, you know. And the water's low. Mm-hmm. I don't know how low it is by you.
Well, according to, because I actually have looked into it, according to the dam at Kenora, this is where it should be. This is like officially summer pool right now. I just think it's been so high for so long that we got accustomed for it to be higher. But according to the dam, it is at summer pool right now.
So, Dick Pearson is our neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that wrote, Muskies on the Shield and everything else. Great guy. He's 82 years old. He was standing in my cabin in July. He's an interesting guy to talk to because he's got just an unbelievable amount of experience out on Lake of the Woods, and he is not afraid to travel.
Yeah.
He was telling me where he was fishing, and I was like, I'm not going there. I didn't bring that much gas.
Exactly.
I mean, he's fishing by you.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. But he watches that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He gets online and he looks at, Nestor Falls, and he looks at Kenora. And he was talking about all the rain they were getting in Rainy River. Mm-hmm. And how high it is. And he's got a lot of, I learned a lot. It's my couple of brief conversations with him about current. And we talk about direct and indirect current,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one thing about muskie fishermen is they always take everything to the extreme, right?
Yep.
So you're like, hey, they're eating orange baits.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's, I'll build one. I got two 14-inch blades, two number 14 blades and a red skirt or an orange skirt with orange hooks and orange beads. And it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And when you talk about current, guys do the same thing. They're like, I'm going to go get right in the current. I had my trolling motor on 10 and my boat was going backwards. And I'm like, well, the fish isn't going to sit there.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit there and fight current all day.
Sure.
So we talk about like direct and indirect current. And we were there in July. That's when Dick came over and he was talking about the dams and stuff like that and current and an area that we fish. And like I always tell Trevor, like, be observant, like what's going on around you. Is there bait? Is there birds? Is there, stupid things? Weather coming? Did the wind just switch direction? Like what's going on? And all of a sudden he said, look at that buoy. One of the channel markers.
Mm-hmm.
That bitch was at a 45-degree angle. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. And here and I wasn't even paying attention. We were fishing an eddy that was probably 300 yards away from that buoy. But the way it had hit an island and some rocks and everything else, it had created an eddy. And I was like, oh my God, there should be 100 fish here. But then when I actually stopped with the trolling motor, or she stopped with the trolling motor and our boat kind of started turning, I'm like, there's too much here.
Mm-hmm.
So these fish are going to be off of it. And I don't know everything about current or how it moves. I know which direction it's going. But for us, the big thing is watercolor.
Okay.
There's, and I don't know about the angle, but over by us, there's 3 colors of water. There's green, there's brown, and there's clear.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have all 3 different colors on the same spot the same day if you got enough current. And the active fish are in brown water or clear. And the fish that you see that don't eat are in the green water is what we've observed this year.
Yeah.
But that wind got so mixed up here this week that we started fishing spots and we were moving fish where we could barely see them. I mean, you'd see a top of a tail, and I was like, there shouldn't be fish in here. This is too dirty. Let's get the hell out of here. And then it was like, well, there's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys noticed a difference has color been a big thing for you this year, or bait style been a big thing? Or has it been just, find the current, find your, the areas that you think fish are in, or has that mattered much to you? I'm asking Trevor.
I would let him take that one because he's the one that changes baits. I don't ever change baits.
Well, we always have a couple staples on our boat. It's black and nickel, so black and silver, or gold and copper with like a walleye skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, black and silver has not been a staple for us. Every other year, that's one of our main colors.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, it's been that gold copper with that walleye blade, with that walleye skirt sometimes, but most of the time it's like green or orange. That's some of our main baits this year. Green was staple this past week. The weeks before that, gold was a staple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just been, well, also when we go to that, it's what's like the sun doing. If there's clouds in the sky, we're throwing orange and green. If the sun's out, then it's like we're throwing copper and gold. It's just whatever it's doing.
Skirt and blades, or just blades?
Skirt and blades usually.
Okay.
Copper and gold.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like painted blades. I think they sound different in the water. They're heavy. They don't spin as well. I'm going to tell you, I pretty much had a painted, little shout out here to Hunsey Tail. We've been throwing a lot of bangers. Kyle's a good guy. They'll eat other stuff, but I think just having that little extra flash on it with that back, and in dirty water and in an area where they see a lot of baits and stuff like that, I think we have blades that bangers specifically that grind. We can feel them in the handle. You can feel them grinding. And I'll tell you, noise is a big deal up there. Those fish, I can't tell you how many blind fish we've caught. And you can talk to Feast about that. He had one that they moved it 3 or 4 times last year and ended up catching it. And he was like, is this goddamn thing blind? He's like, it would come in and it would like lose the lure. And then it would like turn its head, and then all of a sudden it would get back on it. And he's like, is this thing? And then they ended up catching it. And it was like a 46.5 or something. And he's like, it was missing its eye.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, that fish was feeling, and
we caught one yesterday like that.
Yeah. And my personal thoughts are like, the darker the water or the dirtier the water, the more thump you got to have.
Yeah.
But of course, as musky fishermen, we go to the extreme, so we're throwing like double 14s and like, an M13, I don't know if you ever thrown an M13, but man, do those things thump.
I don't know if I want one near me.
And Trevor's throwing an ultra dog, like we're trying to throw these great big stuff. So like, oh wow, they're going to see it. And I think there's a certain point where it's like, yeah, that stuff probably does work, but it's not. It's almost too big, or it's too much,
Yeah, I this year a bait that's been really good for me is the wood ticks by Kramer Brothers, the one that has the wood body on it and has the tickers in the front. It almost, I call it a wake bait. You can reel it slow, you can reel it fast, and it pushes a huge wake out in front of it, almost like a topwater. And that's kind of been my answer to the not topwater bite, but it seems like they're grabbing that and they'll eat it. We had one yesterday that just absolutely destroyed it. And it worked really, it's been working well for me. I had a buddy of mine, Lance, from Kentucky up. It was him, his dad, and his son. His son Tate's 11.
Oh, I know Lance. Yeah.
And his son Tate, they were up 3 days, and his son got his first 3 muskies casting, all on wood ticks, 41, 45, and 46, and the fish just destroyed them. And it was a great bait for a kid, because he could throw it up in the weeds and the thing floated, so he could bring it through there. And he was able to pull those fish out of some really thick shit. And where a traditional bucktail, there's no way he would have got it through there by where he was putting it. And it worked really, really, really good. Let me ask you this. A lot of guys up here, they're always worried about cabbage. Where's the cabbage? What's the cabbage? I've done really well every year I've been here in the spaghetti, in the stringy. If you grew up on a farm, I call it pig dick weeds, the curly Q stuff.
We call them zip weeds because they got them little tops on them.
Yep. Have those been all right? Have you guys done much in that?
So in July, it was cabbage. Cabbage was good.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the cabbage either died or it's not as good, or it's so thick you can't really work it.
Yeah. Some of the cabbage I think now is dying. It does. Some of it looks nasty.
Yeah.
I mean,
And where we are, and I don't know about you, but we got some of that, like, I don't know, we call it like tobacco cabbage.
Oh yeah.
Real. If you find that, and it's pretty rare, we're like, oh boy, here we go.
See, we got a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have I got 50 spots I can show you right now that have tobacco cabbage in it. And some of it's thick. I mean, like whole days just full of it.
I hate spots like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my ADHD or what the problem is, but and we have guys that stay with us that are like, oh my God, have you fished here? Look at this. This is amazing. And you pull in there and I'm like, yeah, there's like 200 acres of it.
Yeah.
I hate that. I do not have the patience for that to sit there. I'm sure there's fish in it. I don't care. But that stringy shit, which I hate because it gets on your bucktail and you got to sit there for 10 minutes picking it out. There's been a lot of fish in that, but it's got to be associated with something else.
Okay.
Current, lily pads, cabbage. If it's all by itself, maybe there's fish in there. There probably is because there's fish everywhere, but it doesn't seem to be as effective as getting it in an area that has something else. You got to have this like 3-pronged approach to catching active fish there, because I know a lot of guys that fish rocks, right? Oh man, rocks. I will tell you, there is a lot of dead water on Lake of the Woods that has rocks on it. If the rocks aren't broken up, if they're not, if they're just flat rock, I have not done very well doing that. And I'm not a Lake of the Woods muskie expert by any means. And I'm sure somebody will go in the comments and say, oh, that guy's full of shit. I catch all my fish out there. Great.
It'll be my mom.
Yeah.
She's bad for that.
Good. That's awesome. I'm glad you're having success doing that. That's not for me. I don't have confidence doing it.
She follows it by fuck you. That's how she likes to sign off.
And I feel the same way about those kinds of weeds. Like they're awesome and there is a lot of fish in them, but if they don't have something else in it, the more shit that I have to throw, like beaches, guys will talk about beaches, right? A beach bite. And that first 3 years I was there, man, if there was a beach, I fished it. I mean, there wasn't one piece of sand out there for about 30 miles that I wasn't throwing baits on. And then we learned, like, well, why is this beach good? Oh, well, there's some broken rock, or there's a little piece of cabbage off of it, or there's a hole that they can get in, or something like that. And you start eliminating water that way.
Sure.
It's I like I said, those weeds are great. In July, they weren't. We fished a lot of it, and it just didn't seem like there was fish in it. They were more related to that cabbage.
Yeah, I'll agree.
But I've also been there when it's the lily pad bite. And I don't know if they're eating frogs or what the story is, but you go and there's areas by us where it's nothing but lily pads for as far as you can see, and there was fish all over it. I'm here to tell you, in July and August, some fish are not there. They weren't on that just bare lily pads.
Sure. It's no, I get it. I'm going to bring up a map here. We're going to go to, let's see if I can do this and not screw everything up. So here's a map. It's not a full map. It's a section of a map. I just typed in Lake of the Woods map. Not even sure if this is Lake of the Woods, but, it kind of shows like this is the old paper map type stuff that we all have. And the areas that you guys like, you talk about current. And so on here, so we've got in the middle there, we've got what's called Whitefish Narrows. How would you approach this area here. So this is an area that you guys are going into and you're going to fish it. You've never fished it before. What are you going to, in your mind, what are you doing?
So is that current moving like north to south? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, let's do that. Let's just say it is.
Okay. So if that current's moving north to south and you got that main channel there because of that red, and then you got that secondary channel because of the dots and stuff like that, you can see it's coming through there. Like, depending on how strong it is, like, I would typically fish that. Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would go off to, like, right where it says narrows, like right underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a look at that. And I would say, yeah, is there weeds here? Is there rocks here? Is there, like those little cuts and things like that? And, where he got his 49 1/4 last week is a spot that, and I know this would piss a lot of people off, but we'll go and drive 10 minutes to go to a spot to make 10 casts. And that's it. Mm-hmm. As right the cast before he caught that fish, he's like, I bet you there's one fish here. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of those. It's that small of an area. And we average, and this is, I'm getting a little off topic here, but we average probably 3 to 4 spots an hour. Mm-hmm. And if we fish from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., that means we fished 40 spots. And we didn't fish any of them twice. Like, we are running and gunning, and we have waypoints. If you looked at my map and my boat, you would be like, holy shit. I'm like a bass guy. Like, I mean, I got 1,100 waypoints, and we have them color-coded for, like, different things and different sizes of fish and everything else. So we can pull it up real quick and say, hey, we're going to go over here, but we're also going to go here, 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 and here. And we just keep moving, and we call them connectors. Right? Yeah. So we'll go on an adventure one day, let's say Wednesday, and we're like, hey, we're going to go way northwest or way northeast, and we'll drive for 45 minutes and not even stop the boat, and we'll get in an area that we wanted to check out. Mm-hmm. And we'll start fishing it. What typically happens to us is that's just a known recipe to move an absolute giant that doesn't eat. And then we're like, fuck, now we're 45 minutes away. We got this big fish going. So we do these, what we call connectors. So we start looking for other stuff that's around there and try tying areas together. So when we go, and let's say there's a moon phase, or we got, hey, we got a major hitting at 4:45. Let's get over there at 4:30, but let's not waste it driving the boat. Let's fish a couple spots on the way there and a couple spots on the way out, because you'll just sit around chasing your tail all day, driving around burning gas, trying to work these big fish, and you know how it is. I mean, you'll get one up that's 52, 53, and you're like, God damn it, I want to come back when it's better and try to catch this thing, but I also don't want to drive for 30 minutes to go do it.
Yep.
To fish a tiny spot that takes 30 casts,
Yep.
So, like, when I look at a spot like this, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking inside these islands and inside these holes and stuff like that. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, maybe, and the different geography, I guess, or whatever that you have on a lake, like different parts of the lake lay out differently. Mm-hmm. I know by us, if we go northwest, there's a lot of flat rock, like just big open shield rock that's flat, bulrushes, a lot of mid-lake stuff, islands that pop up with rock on them and stuff like that. We go out there and, we're all, as we're driving by at 30 miles an hour, we're like, this is all shit. I'm not fishing any of this. Mm-hmm. And then we start looking at it and we're like, well, that could be all right. Well, maybe this is okay. And before you know it, you're like, oh my God, I found the greatest fucking spot on Lake of the Woods. You'll never, I mean, that's to go back to our original point, like, don't get too hung up on spots. Mm-hmm. Try to replicate what's working for you all over the lake.
Yeah. So when you're looking for current areas, are you looking for the neck downs, the pinch points, the or are you also considering current areas that are like big channels that are,
I consider that I consider that entire thing a current area.
Okay.
I mean, just to me, I don't know. I kind of look at it like, you got that whole channel and it looks like there's small islands and things like that. Like that water's moving. And like I say, it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be like ripping and you got your trolling motor on 10 and you can't even move. Like fish don't like that shit.
Yeah. I'm trying to learn the current stuff up here. I'm trying to be relevant to it all the time because, current, a lot of lakes I fish don't have a lot of current. And this lake now can have anything. I've seen whitewater out there in some areas after a big wind, especially in that Nestor Falls area. I've watched the water depth change 2 feet after a big wind.
Having that wind current. Oh, hell yeah.
And after that water rushes back, I mean, it's amazing how strong it gets in some spots. And, but the natural current of the lake, there definitely is some, and that's the stuff that I'm trying to figure out more. And it sounds like that's what you guys have really been keying in on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not St. Clair where you're out there throwing pounders and you can feel them rolling in 30 feet of water, but there's always that push, and it's kind of like, the Eagle River chain is the same way. We got all this rain this week and, we haven't been out there because we left our boat in Canada because we're going back next Friday. But if they open up that dam and there's the other thing, Trevor and I were talking about this yesterday. We're talking about fishing yesterday's wind. It takes a little bit for those fish. Fish don't have a map. They don't know what's around. They're just reacting to what's in front of them. A fish isn't going to, be over here on this Smith Island and say, "Oh man, I'm on the east side of Smith Island. I got this big wind. I'm going to shoot over to Whitefish Narrows quick and get out of the wind." Like they have no idea that that's there. So if you had a really heavy east wind on this map and it was pushing against the current, and if you read Dick's book or talk to him, he talks about the Secchi effect where the wind is pushing against the current and it creates this like natural eddy, like in weird areas. And then the next day you wake up and you got a 5 mile an hour west wind. Like those fish might not be there yet. It takes them a little bit. And I honestly think water, number one, bait, where's the bait? Where did the bait go? The east, on these little lakes around here, our good friend Gus Manty and stuff, like he's really good at fishing the wind, and he's showed me a lot of stuff around here. Like, why are you fishing over there? You should be here. Because yesterday the wind was blowing out of the west at 20 miles an hour. Like it pushed all the bait, but there's also no current. Here you got the current with the wind. So you got that little extra, this is what's going on. So you got to kind of, I don't know, you got to kind of play it all into effect. And then, the main thing is, you're fishing all this, nothing going on. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, there's one. Oh, wait, let's stop for a minute. Why is that fish here? Like, wait, what are we doing right now? Let's do that again, like 50 times and see if we can catch one.
Yeah.
And that,
No, that's something there. Trevor, you're running the boat. How many rocks you found?
Actually, this year hasn't been bad. Maybe 2 or 3 last trip, and the trip before was probably the same.
Okay.
I'm doing pretty good with that.
Yeah. So one thing I do like, and I'm not going to have a forward-facing sonar conversation with anybody, but that's one thing nice about having the perspective mode on. You can still see the trolling motor and what's coming up to you, and you're like, "Huh, that's a really big rock there with a giant shadow behind it. I wonder if I can." Oh God, I hit it. Yeah. But that's before I had that. That's something that I did a lot. And knowing that stuff is there. It's
we were rebuilding our Tarova twice a year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We kept snapping the collar.
Yeah.
So we started taking it out of autopilot, and this year we switched to an Ultrex Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a Minn Kota rep, and they don't give me any money. I can guarantee you this, but I will tell you that is the greatest trolling motor I've ever seen in my life. That thing is built like a brick shithouse, and we've hit some stuff with it like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's he's pretty good about staying off of stuff and not running into stuff, but you know how that is. And especially if you're fishing stuff like I'm pointing at on this map, like, we always look for the little stars, on the VX chip, which is, usually pretty accurate, but we found quite a few this year where all of a sudden the boat just stopped and we're like, oh shit. You know? I may or may not have ran the boat up on one in July where we had to actually take the net out and like get out and push the boat off.
Yep.
And my map said I was in 14 feet of water.
Oh yes. I've been there. I've been there. It's
you've been down towards Nestor Falls. It gets real sketchy down there, like real quick.
Oh yeah. Yes, it does. That's for sure. But no, I'm glad you guys could come on, and I really appreciate it because I know you guys have had some good trips. I think guys are really going to like what we talked about. Especially for guys that have fished up here and even guys that fish other systems with currents and stuff like that. I think this is something that they're really going to enjoy. So I really appreciate you guys coming on here. And then you're going back up, you said, in next week or week and a half?
Yeah, next Friday. So not this Friday, but the next one.
Are you going to have you done any fall stuff up there?
Oh, no, but we're gonna this year. We're gonna go and close our cabin up, and we're gonna go up for like 4 days. Start of October, probably.
Okay. And because it's such a neat lake. It changes constantly. The with the water and everything. I mean, some areas hold fish they just hold fish. It's just, are they going to eat? And I think that's a lot to it. So, like I said, guys, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to hop off here. Guys, make sure you check out the Patreon. You can actually see the map that we're talking about on here and kind of the stuff Jeremy and Trevor are talking about. But, guys, thanks for coming on. Hold on for just a little bit. And like I said, I appreciate it.